Yeah, I do have one question. When we had originally talked, you had said that the people who are, the people that I'm looking for, the people who would be taking reverse mortgages are actually in LinkedIn now. And I'm not really sure how to access them. I've tried searching on retired, and I'm getting a cross-section of professionals who are retired. But I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
So that brings up a point. We have to identify who the target market profile is, and I think that that's a good exercise to go through and really to document who the target market profile is. And
okay.
On that's one of the items here that I have open for conversation and to take a look at. And you can see from here. Actually, why is this not working?
I don't know. Is it possible that my computer has taken over this presentation, because I have the presentation open on another screen?
No.
No?
But it is an open document where anybody can update it. But but when we look at the target market profile, we want to identify what the age is, the demographic, the income level, geography, and basically detail all that out, which then will help us connect with these types of people. So have you given much thought to the target market profile?
Well, the target market are people who are over 65 who have equity in their homes.
Mm-hmm. So when you, and do they have to be over 65?
I'm sorry, over 62, not 65.
And do they have to be?
Yes.
Interesting. And I guess it really doesn't matter male or female. Does it matter geography at all?
California for sure, for me.
Mm-hmm. So Los Angeles, California?
Anywhere in California, but LA is a good start.
All right.
LA probably has the highest density of reverse loan officers and reverse mortgages.
Mm-hmm. So you're in a good market.
I'm in it. Well, I can't, it's hard to say if I'm in a good market or not. Let me just give you an example. This month, everybody is busy, but busy to us is maybe 3 loans in a month. Last month, just about 5,000 reverse mortgages were sold last month all across the country.
5,000, huh?
5,000.
Wow. That seems, well, actually, that seems like a low number. Is that, how does that number compare?
To the forward industry, it doesn't. It represents maybe less than 2% of the FHA market, mm-hmm. which represents about 3% of the entire residential loan industry.
Mm-hmm. So no, but I mean, like, how does that number compare to previous months, the 5,000? Is that a high number or is that a low number?
5,000 is an extremely low number. Last year, there were about 175,000 of these mortgages that were done in the entire country. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing right now one to two loans a month, and I'd like to increase that. And you're probably asking yourself, well, why am I doing that? And the reason is because I see a tipping point here. There's a couple of things that are going on in the industry that I believe are going to affect people in the immediate future, especially once the election happens. And if the Republicans get in, I think people are going to see more of a need for this than was previously expected. Because a lot of senior services will be cut and people are going to need money just to stay right where they are.
Yes.
And so You know, when I first got into the industry in 2005, it was difficult to find people who would even talk to me. Now, I'm starting to have people in other industries like financial planning, CPAs, who else? Real estate agents who are looking for me because they have clients that they think they should tell, this is what a reverse mortgage is, this is what it can do for you, and oh, by the way, I have somebody I trust who can do this for you. And so I have been accessing a lot of these people through their professionals, their preferred providers, but I'd also like to go directly to the borrowers if it's possible. And when we had first talked, you had said, yeah, that is possible to find the actual borrowers on LinkedIn. And I would imagine that there's a certain percentage of them here, but because they're age 62, many of them are not here because LinkedIn is more of a business utility than a personal, you know, like a Facebook type of thing. Nonetheless, that being said, I'd still like to tackle LinkedIn and see what I can make of this. I've had a lot of people that I've sent invitations to who have no idea who I am, and they have linked to me, and I just have a feeling that it's because they're starting to hear more about reverse mortgages, and I'm making an assumption here that they're starting to hear more about it primarily because their clients are asking them about it. So it may be 62-year-olds and older, or it may be the 40 to 50-year-old children of people who might need this type of a loan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how we can boil that down into a search, you know, a definable search, I don't really know.
So that's exactly what it is we're going to tackle. So if I'm hearing you correctly, we see two opportunities. One, you know, creating the awareness for your channel partners to refer you business is one area. And then, you know, you mentioned CPAs, you mentioned the borrowers, you mentioned financial planners, you mentioned real estate. So that's very, very good there. And then the other one is to go direct to the 62-plus people in age to you know, identify them and educate them around reverse mortgage. Now, related to the product, does income level matter at all?
No, probably people who are still making you know, over $250,000 a year are not going to see much benefit to this because they're not the type of people who would try to defer their the responsibility of a long-term health care issue to Medicaid, for example, or Medi-Cal in California. But there are lots of reasons that someone might want to use this loan. There's always that house rich, cash poor market, which is what you see being targeted on TV. But that's only one slice of our market. There are also people who might want to sell down so that they would open up available cash resources from the sale of a larger house to fund their retirement. Somebody may want to take this money to increase their cash flow where, let's see, how can I explain this? Where, let's say that they have a retirement account set aside and they're taking their minimum required amounts from those accounts, and suddenly they have to replace their roof. Well, if they take that money out of their retirement accounts, that's money that they're going to lose the generation of new funds by doing that. And so what they can do is take a reverse mortgage because those funds are tax-free, and they can use that money. And when they put it in a line of credit, they're also kind of preserving those funds against being taken by the state should they become in a position where they have to use long-term health care funds. The state cannot touch those funds while they're in a line of credit as a condition of taking care of somebody. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a huge point, and it's been totally overlooked by many of the people who are in the industry itself, but also these other industries, financial planning, the CPAs. You know, they're just saying, no, you don't want to take equity out of your home. That's ridiculous. But it's not ridiculous. There are some really, really good ideas to do that kind of thing because it has other financial implications that could be very positive for their clients. So in that first paragraph that you're looking at, there is some of that right in the summary that I wrote. And I think while I've been attracting attention here, I think this paragraph is largely responsible for the type of people who are saying, yeah, I'll link to this woman. She sounds like she may understand this a little bit better than the average LO. And I've had people, I've had some interest from, well, they started from LinkedIn. For example, I attracted the attention of a guy who writes for the Wall Street Journal, and he has now, since June, he has now used quotes from me twice in his articles.
Awesome.
And the comments from his article, I've gotten not just interest from other people on LinkedIn as a result of those articles. I've also gotten interest from seniors who tracked me down after having read the article that he wrote. So I'm trying to find, you know, ways that I can put this stuff to good use for me. It's really good stuff. I just don't know what to do with it. I don't think that there are too many other LOs who can say that, yeah, I've been quoted in the Wall Street Journal. You know what I mean? That's a pretty big deal.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And he has used your name?
Oh, yeah.
Wow! Congratulations. How did you make all that happen? How did he hear about you? Find you?
Well, I was posting quite a bit for a long time on LinkedIn, but then I thought, well, that's how this guy found me, was from comments that I had made on different lines on LinkedIn. But the people that I was talking to were also in the reverse mortgage industry, and there were quite a few people who are in that industry that whatever anybody would say, they'd start these huge arguments online. It's got to be very unpleasant. But anyway, that's where Bob Powell picked me up, and I think he picked me up. There are certainly more. There are certainly other people who are writing on these same lines who can talk a good streak about reverse mortgages. I mean, in depth, to the decimal point. But they're talking over most people's heads, and I think that's why he chose me. I say stuff that can be very powerful to his readership, and still make myself be understood by the average person. And so
yeah, Colette, I believe you do a great job of that, because I didn't even know what a reverse mortgage is, and you, in plain English, have articulated exactly what it is and how it works.
Well, I've been trying to develop a more of a public speaker presence. I have found that to be really helpful too, just to get people to listen to what I have to say, which I really think is it's really important. I see a lot of seniors who are losing their homes because their advisors are telling them, don't do this, it's bad for you. But I come from a different point of view. My husband is an appraiser, and I've gone into homes that, where the owners of the homes, they live on golf courses, Greg, and they have cat food cans on their kitchen cabinets and no cats living at their house. It's really sad. And then to see them be able to get a reverse mortgage, and now their threadbare carpet is gone. They're looking healthier because they're eating better. The stuff that had them so troubled, so worried, is no longer there. And a lot of these financial people who are saying, no, I've heard terrible things about reverse mortgages, don't do it, are doing a terrible disservice to their own clients by not even listening. And so I really want to advance in public speaking as well as doing the talks to I give 4 credit classes to certified financial planners and CPAs. I've done one for an attorney group down in Orange County, and I'd really like to do more of that because I think it's important. So far, nothing has come back to me directly from doing this, but I think it's really important that people know about this stuff. And I can't say that because nothing has come of it yet that it is unimportant. Reverse mortgages are not like a regular refi. When somebody says, oh, the rates are low, it's time for me to refi. That's not how it works with seniors. They start getting worried because they see their funds are slowly going away, and they start thinking, how am I going to do this? And I have done loans for seniors who have been thinking about doing a reverse mortgage for several years. My own mother waited 12 years from the time she first heard about the product to the time that she actually did it.
Wow.
So it's a totally different game. But as I said, I think that because of what's going on in the economy, we're going to have a deluge of people who are going to need this product if, in fact, they want to stay where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. And so the overall goal is to, connect with those people, educate them, and, bring them into your circles.
Yeah,
now,
right. I'd like to be in a position to show them this is, when you're going through your database, Mr. Financial Planner, this is the person that you're looking for. You're looking for the woman who became a widow this past year, Mr. CPA. That's who you're looking for. Someone who's had a dramatic change in their lives in this last year. And so anybody who's had a serious illness or they've lost a spouse, those things are going to dramatically change their income picture and get them into trouble in no time flat.
Exactly. And it's pretty cool that you have a product that will help them, get out of trouble. It's just a matter of, identifying them and educating them that there are solutions out there.
Yeah. Now, you see where it says Colette Gray's activity?
Yes.
And it's that I'm now connected to Kelly Finnan. I have no idea who that person is or where she got my name, and I was just wondering if if there's any way that when I get an invitation from somebody to connect, if I can find out how they found me. Is there a way to trace that?
Well, you don't know exactly because we don't have, the keywords, but, if you could see that Kelly, and you don't know her, you've never had any communication or any contact with her?
No, I haven't, but I told you too that I had worked with Edge Up Network, and it was just not what I was thinking.
Those guys.
It was they approached me from the standpoint that, gee, you've done BNI before, and I know BNI didn't work for you, but this is totally different. Well, it's not really. I don't think it's that different at all. So some of these people may have been accepting invitations for me that went out on my behalf from these people at Edge Up Network.
True.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, not exactly sure. But you can see the screen here, who's viewed your profile, and a lot of times they have the person's name here. And then so you can see if you get an invitation from Lynn, well, no, you're already connected with Lynn, but say if this was like a third-degree connection and you could see that she sent you an invite, you could tell that she was viewing your profile, so she probably found you by searching one of the search strings that's attached to it, like reverse mortgage.
Okay.
And like similarly, if you get contacted by someone at the Daily Breeze, by Kathy King, then you know that they were searching for you online because
it's actually probably Lisa Martini, because I know where Kathy King comes from, and she's not from up here, but Lisa, well, that's interesting that she's got Greater Los Angeles. Kathy King is down in San Diego County. It's interesting that she's advertising in L.A.
Mm-hmm. Because she works for the Daily Breeze? I don't know.
No, she's a real estate agent. I know Kathy personally, but I don't know Bruce Hazelton, for example, who's also from the Daily Breeze. I have no idea who that guy is.
Mm-hmm. But that's one way is people can view, they can search for you and view your profile. But it's always interesting to take a look at because, it's just another way you can connect with people. Like, why was somebody at the Daily Breeze searching for you, and why were they viewing your profile?
Yeah.
And, this independent insurance agent, Lynn, who you probably know,
I do.
She was searching your profile within the last week. So I don't know if she was looking for your phone number, if she was looking for you, but you might want to follow up just to drop.
We
her
already
a note.
have followed up, and she does want to get together and talk. So that's now Lynn is somebody I know through the Chamber of Commerce, and also one of these, one of these not BNI but another networking group.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
She essentially has the same complaint. About these groups. They want your referrals, but if you're in an odd industry, you may never get a referral from them.
Exactly. So unless there's any other questions, let's kind of follow this format. And, you've been active on LinkedIn. It sounds like you already have a pretty amazing success story. Not too many people get mentioned in, you said the Wall Street Journal, right?
Yeah, what's nice to be mentioned in the Wall Street Journal is it would be better if I were getting the paychecks that would indicate, yeah, this lady's been busy in the national news outlets.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I would ride those coattails as far and as long as you possibly can.
Okay, so educate me. Tell me how to do this.
All right, so let's kind of just go over, the agenda. It looks like you've been working on LinkedIn, so we don't really need to spend too much time on, the first one, profile optimization. So we'll just touch on that. Then we'll get into building connections. We'll walk through the various ways and, some of the add-ins and plugins that we should be working on. And then we'll get into prospecting and lead generation. And then the last one is establishing yourself as the industry expert and sharing that knowledge and education that you have. So we'll kind of walk through that, and then we'll get into more advanced things in our next session. Okay. So just to give you a background, and this is kind of what you already know. But LinkedIn is I think it's the #1 place on the internet to build your online brand and your credibility. You can see that when somebody searches your name, your LinkedIn profile actually comes up above your website. And that's the way it is for most people. It's also amazing for lead generation and, you know, prospecting, and it gives you the ability to do that, as we talked about in previous calls, in a very efficient manner. And then it also is a great communication tool to build out your expertise and your credibility. So what's interesting about LinkedIn is the new profiles are being rolled out very slowly. I'm not sure if you know that, but
Oh, I didn't.
You did?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so pretty much all of this is going to change because the profiles, the new profiles are getting a complete overhaul. And so they're going to look totally different. But we don't know when that is going to happen. So it could happen next week. It could happen 3 months, but it is coming down down the road. And it looks like your profile is already 100% complete, which is good. And you know we'll touch a little bit on the profile here.
So with the profile, if I add a comma or put in a period someplace, the system sees it as having made a new change on the profile, right?
Yes.
And then it kind of says that to everybody who's linked to me that, you know, my profile has been updated.
Correct.
Okay. So how often would you recommend I monkey around with that?
Well, I maybe like once a month, you know, take a look at your profile and, you know, make some changes and some updates and some enhancements.
Okay.
And because, you know, it's, you know, part of your strategy is a content marketing strategy, whereas, you know, you're always going to be pushing out new content. And if you're featured in the Wall Street Journal, that's something that, you know, you would want to put a link to that particular article on your LinkedIn profile. It's basically, your LinkedIn profile is important because it's like one of the only places on the internet where you're allowed to brag about yourself. In other words, you can't do that on your website. You definitely can't do that on Facebook. You can't do that on Twitter, but on LinkedIn you certainly can because it's your profile. It's essentially your online resume.
Okay.
So related to your profile, the most important thing is your headline, which is right here. And you've done something interesting related to that, whereas you put your email address in the headline. Is that something that was encouraged for you to do?
Yeah, there was somebody else who said that was a good thing to do. I'm not sure that it is. It just, you know, I don't know. To me, it looks like a distraction.
It is a little bit of a distraction, but I like where you're going with it, meaning that you're showing that you are an open networker, and if somebody wants to connect with you, they now have your email address. So it is a best practice to include the email address in your profile if you are an open networker. When I say open networker, meaning that, you know, you want to connect with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I do like it there in the headline. You're not the first person who has done that, and that's the reason why I asked where did you get that tip from. So I do like it, and I don't think that it is too distraction. But the reason why we talk about headline is because the way that LinkedIn search works, because again, you want to be found for the words reverse mortgage specialist. And the way that the first thing that LinkedIn looks at is they look at your headline, which is also, you know, your title. So it looks like you have your keyword in here, and obviously that's the keyword that you want to be known for. Correct?
Yeah.
So that's good. You got that in there. And then, you know, related to your profile, you want to get as much content as you can in there, including, you know, other search-related terms. So, you know, your profile is 100% complete, which is good. You know, you have your experience in there. It looks like you've activated your skills tab, which is good. Looks like you listed a bunch of them in there. You have your education, and you have your recommendations, and then you have all of your websites in here. And what I also like, too, related to websites is you can add a personal touch to the website. So if I say personal touch, meaning that you can click here and type in other, and then it gives you the ability to name the website. So for instance, rather than your personal site, you could call it, or what is this site all about?
It's about reverse mortgages. You could put reverse mortgage in California, and the reason that I'm trying to, it's MORTGAGE. The reason I'm putting that in there is because I do want to be able to do loans anywhere in the state, and I know that that is it's a very hot search term for reverse mortgages. I mean, as hot as you can be when you're only doing 5,000 loans in the entire country in a month, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
But I do know that people are searching on Reverse Mortgage California. And I know if you Google reverse mortgage Redondo Beach, which is where I live, I come up on the first page of Google.
Awesome. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So there's the active rain, and then there's your website, which is great.
Yeah, so I really want to dominate Google page 1. Right now I'm doing pretty good with Redondo Beach. I'd like to dominate for Reverse Mortgage California, although there are two companies. One is California Reverse Mortgage. The other one is Reverse Mortgage California, who have those at their URL.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a blog on your site?
I do, and I haven't been very active on it because I've been trying to figure out the best way to set up LinkedIn, the best way to set up my Facebook business application before I really start working at directing a lot of traffic to the blog, to the website. Right now I'm kind of using them as holding spots for information.
Certainly.
I need to change the website because somebody told me that the website is not being seen by Google because it's a flash site.
Yes.
And so it has to be text-based.
That is true. I was going to just mention that. But the whole idea is, I think that's a good goal, is to be known for Reverse Mortgage California and to, compete for that. And the reason why I mentioned a blog is because you just want to post as many articles as you can related to Reverse Mortgage California, California Reverse Mortgage, that sort of thing.
Now, my Facebook business app is Reverse Mortgage California.
Nice.
And I'm sure when those two other guys with those URLs realize that I have it, they're going to raise a stink. But somebody told me try it anyway because Facebook really doesn't care.
Yeah, I was going to say Facebook doesn't care, and they're not going to go after you, and it doesn't really matter. I think it would cause them, more angst if you were to come up in Google for that particular key phrase above their company. That would be the end-all, be-all.
Well, that's exactly what I'm aiming for.
Yes, I think that's a good goal.
Yeah.
So back to the profile. I think the profile looks great. You have some good recommendations in here. Looks like you've added an application, which is WordPress. There's other applications that you can do. There's not really too many changes that I would make to the profile. Maybe adding your name and address and phone number in there. Give people a chance to give you a call. And then related to the summary here, maybe putting your phone number in here as well.
Okay.
With a call to action.
Okay, and that's in the summary. Add.
And here's your call to action here, which is call or email me to see a.
Oh yeah, that was really dumb. Call me, but Guess what my telephone number is?
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of companies call me and I say, well, what's the purpose of your website? Is, well, we want to generate phone calls. Well, do you know that your phone number is buried on page 4 of your Contact Us page, and it's all the way down at the bottom of the page? They're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So just get your phone number in there. And then moving on, just the last thing that I wanted to point out is that you can move all of these sections around. So, for instance, if you want, you might want your experience and your education, but if you wanted your recommendations, because you have some great recommendations here,
Yeah, I'd rather put the recommendations up there, and I couldn't figure out how to do it the last time I was on LinkedIn looking at this stuff.
So say if you wanted your recommendations above your education or above your skills, you can just move that up and move that around just by clicking the mouse. Okay. So it's kind of cool. You can move all of that around.
Here, do you think it's better to put it, above the experience, for example?
Well, I think the experience is important. And, I would say maybe experience, then recommendations, followed by skills, followed by, education.
Okay. Repeat that again.
Experience, no, the summary, then experience, then recommendations.
Okay.
And you could play around with it, but I'm just thinking of, I type in reverse mortgage specialist California, your profile comes up. I want to one, see that you're credible, in your level of experience. And then I think it's also important to have recommendations, see what others are saying about you.
Yeah, I did the recommendations this way. If you notice, some of these are, well, I guess no, all of these are from outside people. Most of my clients are not on LinkedIn, so they can give me a written recommendation, but I haven't figured out how to put that up here. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, there's no way for you to, if they don't have a LinkedIn profile, only they can write recommendations for you on their LinkedIn page. So if you have like a recommendation in your email that was sent, there's no way for you to get it onto your LinkedIn profile. They would have to do that.
Is there a way to like a cheat around this? Can I get another person who is on LinkedIn to say something like want to hear what other people have to say about Colette and put in a link to my recommendations on my webpage?
Not really. But what you can do with that recommendation is you could, aggregate it in other places across the web, because you not only want to have recommendations on LinkedIn, but you want to have them on Yelp, you want to have them on, Merchant Circle and Google and Yahoo. But there's no.
Well, I'm going to run into the same problem on online. A lot of my clients just simply are not on the internet at all. So,
well, Colette, you have to get them onto the internet.
I don't think that they want to use their funds to go get a computer.
Yes.
It's just not.
So yeah, if they're not on the internet, then that could be challenging. But the more and more work that you do, within LinkedIn and on your blog, you're going to start to run into more of these people who are online. But for instance, if you could get a recommendation from Bob Powell, that could be very, very powerful, and I'm sure he's on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right, Bob. I got an idea for an article for him to write anyway.
Exactly. And then, after you butter up that relationship, you could always let him know that, hey, it's very important for me to get recommendations. Would you mind writing a recommendation for me? And a lot of times if I want a recommendation, I'll actually write the recommendation for myself and then just ask them to post it. Just make it extremely easy for them.
Okay.
So there's just some ideas. But related to the profile looks good. Another possible recommendation would be maybe to bulletize some of this paragraph, just because people really don't read that much on the internet. But besides that, unless you have any questions, I do recommend, always looking at the profile, making sure that it's up to date, consistently putting out new, fresh, relevant information onto your profile. That will certainly help you out and build your online credibility, especially as you get more aggressive around connecting with folks.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about building connections with the ideal target market. I think you're 300 plus connections.
Yeah,
353. So what has been the best method for you to acquire these 353 connections?
So far, it's actually been people that I have met in person, and then you see, I have a list of people that are from Edge Up.
Yes, I see that you're using the tags. Soon you're going to be teaching this LinkedIn course.
Wouldn't that be great? You can hire me. Yeah, so it looks like it's time for me to go in and figure out who these untagged people are and tag them, so that doesn't get out of control. But so far, it's people who actually know me, or people who have read stuff that I've written.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So it's either people you know or people who have found you. Have you? So we're going to go through each one of these seven steps around getting connections. Have you imported your contacts into LinkedIn?
I have. I haven't done it in a while. I probably should do that again.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're familiar with importing your contacts. I do recommend doing that because that's a quick way for LinkedIn to look at all of the people who you know and see if they are already using LinkedIn. So it's an easy way to connect.
Yeah.
What do you use for an email program?
I use Outlook.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I also use AOL too, but I use Outlook. And I'm not real good with Outlook either. I still can have trouble with it.
All right.
With the contacts area of Outlook.
Do you have the LinkedIn plugin for Outlook?
I don't think so.
All right, so this is one thing that I do recommend to download to your Outlook, and if you need help setting it up, I can set it up for you. But you just simply go to LinkedIn Outlook and you click on Download Now. And why this is interesting, I don't use Outlook, and I would show you an example of this, how it works. But if I was to open up my Outlook, which I haven't used in a long time, it would take like 20 minutes to open up, because I just haven't opened it up in so long.
So it'd have to
but yeah, an example of how this works. I use Gmail, but the reason why I recommend installing this plugin is because when you have this plugin set up, whenever anybody sends you an email, it will automatically pull in their LinkedIn profile. And within your email, it gives you the ability to connect with them. So say if you're doing a deal and you get an email from, say a banker, it will automatically ask you if you want to connect with them. No, it won't automatically ask you, but it will be an interface where you can easily connect with them via LinkedIn, all within your email. I'll show you an example. So say if I was to get an email from you, so here's an email that you sent me today. So if you and I were not connected, see how I just pulled up an email that you sent me. It automatically pulls in your information from LinkedIn, and it
like that.
Checks to see if we're connected or not. And so if we weren't, I'd see a little button here which says connect. I'll give you an example of one. So I'm not connected with these folks at Sharky's. Bad example. Let's see.
Bloody Mary bar.
Yeah, there you go. So Dana, I'm not connected with Dana, and it's not pulling up. Doesn't look like Dana is on LinkedIn, but I think you get the idea of it. Whereas, Bryn, you can see that I'm connected. If I wasn't, I could just simply click on, connect there. So that is a nice little plug.
What program is this?
This is, I'll show you. It's LinkedIn for Outlook.
Oh, it is LinkedIn for Outlook. Okay.
Yeah, so it's this URL, which I'll send you, and then you just download it, and this is what it's a plug-in to Outlook. And it's really neat.
Okay.
So I do recommend installing that.
All right, but you're not using Outlook? I'm confused. I thought you said that you were using Google or Gmail.
I use Gmail, which essentially it's the same product, and I don't use Outlook. But you mentioned you use Outlook.
Yeah.
So then, therefore, I was suggesting that you download it here.
Okay.
And I'll send over a link so you have that.
Okay.
And again, that's just a good way to connect with more people, especially people you're doing business with. It'll just automatically tell you if they're on LinkedIn, if you're connected within the group. So before we get to the next section, which is prospecting and lead generation, back to building connections. One great way to build connections is through your groups. You know that if you are in a group with somebody else, then you do not have to have their email to connect with them.
Right.
So you're familiar with that.
Yeah. Now, you had also talked about other utilities for LinkedIn. What else would you recommend besides the LinkedIn for Outlook?
In terms of building connections?
No, this was still in the, when we were talking about the one utility that I had, which was to post my blog on LinkedIn.
Yes.
You had said that there were some other utilities that could be useful. Did you have something in mind besides LinkedIn for Outlook?
Now we say utilities like third-party utilities?
Well, I don't know if I really don't know.
Because there's tons of utilities like, we're going to talk about advanced search, definitely adding your LinkedIn profile to your email signature is another way to get connections.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, we'll go through this, but I think you are already in a lot of groups. So if you're looking through your groups and you want to connect with someone, it's a quick way to get connections.
Okay.
Advanced search we'll take a look at, and then I'll just cover number 6 and number 7, which is adding your LinkedIn profile to your email signature with a call to action. Telling people to connect. That works really, really well. And then another way is for people who have viewed your profile, you also want to reach out and connect with them. But
okay.
let's talk a little bit about advanced search. So I'll send this to you. Do you use advanced search much?
No, I had taken a look at it, but I just got back from about 3 weeks of being away, and just before I left, I had searched retired because it was the only obvious thing that would put people probably over age 62.
True. Yeah, so retired is a good key phrase. And yeah, so to identify people over a certain age, we might have to be a little bit creative in terms of using some words like that. But this is, I think, one of the most powerful screens or pages on the entire internet. Just this advanced search button has created, well, me personally, millions and millions of dollars worth of revenue, because this particular page gives you ability to search out your ideal target market and connect with them. You know, ideal target market is people who will buy from you, people that are interested in what you have to offer. And you mentioned, you know, the goal is to connect with people, you know, over age 62 who, you know, would qualify, who are looking to take equity out of their home. You know, that's one target market. The other target market is your channel partnerships, which are also a key thing. You know, you mentioned CPA, real estate, financial planners, attorneys.
When you say channel, Greg, you're meaning a particular career area?
Yeah, like a channel might be, you know, the real estate agents or financial planners or CPAs.
All right.
So the power of this particular advanced search is I always like to be a big fish in a small pond. So,
Me too.
So I always recommend doing a, you know, plugging in your zip code. Are you 90277?
90278, but 77 is good too.
Yeah, so, but let's just do a 50-mile radius, and you mentioned retired.
Uh-huh.
You know, that might be a good, interesting one to start off with, whereas, wow, you got 21,000 search results. So let's narrow this down to a 10-mile radius of your particular zip code. And wow, you still get 2,185 people who all are, you know, who all have retired in their profile and, you know, are locally. So here you can actually quickly scan through and see some of the titles and some of the people that you could potentially connect with. And so here's Elizabeth Weinstein, or retired oil production. So then you can click on her. And so we're really unable to tell age.
Yeah.
Which is challenging, but that's not to say, you know, I imagine you're going to be in the business for, you know, the long term. So then therefore, if they are retired, chances are they're getting close to that age. So here's somebody who we have identified. You know, the reason why I like this search is because they're local. So then they, you know, if they are retired, you know, maybe their parents are still living, or maybe they're getting closer to being, you know, your target market for a reverse mortgage.
Right.
So now you can simply connect with them here. And you know that there's various ways to connect with people. One, you know, you can just simply connect by clicking the connect button. A lot of times you'll have to have the person's email address. So, you know, you could do a couple things here. You can, you know, do a Google search for the person's email address on Google to see if you can find it and then populate it in there. Another way to connect, especially if it's second degrees, you can connect through one of your existing connections. So especially for this local, you know, these locally targeted people, you know, chances are you might know somebody. So you know Ray, and you may know Ray, and if you're friends with Ray, he might pass that information along. But the whole idea is to make that connection and get that person connected. And as you scan through this, so now there's 2,000 people. So what I like to do is to try to get a smaller number, more attainable number. And so you can narrow the search a little bit more by saying only show me people who I am 2 degrees connected with. And you can see that we just narrowed it down to 2 people. So you can kind of play with some of these parameters to either open it up or not. You know, sometimes you could say, you know, connect me with people who are in a group together. So then therefore, you know, if you're in a shared group, you know, you have the ability to connect. So the whole idea with this advanced search and this way of connecting with your ideal target market is, you know, you could go to this particular page every single day, and no matter whatever your goal is associated with this type of networking, whether it be if you want to build 5 connections a week, or, you know, 5 per day, or 5 per month, or 10 or 100, whatever the number is, you know, this is a great way to reach that particular goal by connecting with the ideal target market. You can also, so say if you're interested in connecting with, CPAs, I always type in the title. Actually, I'll bring you back to the main screen that you would be going for. But say today is CPA Connection Day. So CPA, you always want to type in current, and then you always want to type in your zip code. And let's do a small radius because people are more apt to do business locally. And then type in, so now you have 110 potential CPAs that you can connect with. And a lot of times CPAs, they work for themselves. So for instance, Brian Ellis, so you can call. So I'll get into some of the different ways that you can connect, and then I also have it listed here. So if you go to this particular mind map, making the connections, here are some different ways that you can connect. You can call the prospect and use a script like, hey, I found your profile on LinkedIn and would love to connect with you. What's your email address? You can call the main company operator and get the person's email address. You can do a Google search for their email address. And a lot of times these CPAs will have their email address located on their website. I don't even think this is him. But you understand how you can do a Google search. A lot of times Facebook, on their Facebook profile, will have their email address.
Yeah.
And again, if you're affiliated in a group, you do not need the email address. And then another way to connect is you can connect through other connections, or you can connect through a previous employer or a university that you went to together. So those are just some of the different ways. But if I was looking to connect with our friend here, Brian, probably the first thing that I would do is I would just do a Google search for his company name, and you see how I did that fairly easily.
Yeah.
And then as I'm, so the first thing I would do is I would be calling the office right now to get his email address, and to use an email address or to get an email address from him, you could say, hey, I was just trying to send Brian an email. I tried sending it to brian@ellisandassociates.com. Is that the correct email address? And then they'll probably say, no, it's B. Ellis at Ellis and Associates. Say thank you and then hang up, and then you can connect with them.
Oh, okay.
So some creative ways in which you can connect just by being resourceful. And so on average, we find it can take anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes to build that connection with him. Any questions on that?
No.
So advanced search is very, very powerful. You can also save your searches too. So if you find a good search, you can save up to 3 searches, and then you can even have it emailed to you on a weekly or monthly basis, just to make sure you're staying up on top of it. But using this search criteria with a database as large and as powerful as LinkedIn, you can do some damage here. Any questions on that?
No. So how much time do you spend doing this in a day?
I don't do it anymore, but when I moved to Southern California, I didn't have a database, and so every single day I woke up, I went to, and I was selling software to basically Fortune 500 companies, and people who would buy my software were IT project managers, project managers within IT departments. So every single day I woke up, and my goal was to get 10 connections a day. So every day I wake up, go to advanced search, and type in IT project manager, followed by my zip code within a 50-mile radius. No, I'd do a 10-mile radius. And I would get their email address and connect with them. I did that every day for a year, and the following year, I basically built a $2 million sales territory by selling software to IT project managers just by using LinkedIn every day. So I would add them as connections, and I would do that by getting, calling their phone number, getting their email address. Then I would send them a letter in the mail thanking them, and then I would do regular communications with them via the LinkedIn platform. So I was very narrowly focused on building a database on LinkedIn of IT project managers. I built it to about 600 IT project managers, and then, whenever they needed the software that I was selling, they certainly knew who I was, to say the least.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it works. When I started my WSI business, which we do search engine optimization, I typed in marketing manager followed by a zip code, and I called every single marketing manager that I could find on LinkedIn and within a 10-mile radius, and I asked them, are they happy with their current SEO firm? Because I knew that each one of them had a bullet and ended up, getting 20-some-odd clients out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I needed a client, this is what I would do. I would type in marketing manager. Always have to do current title, and then my zip code. We'll probably see a couple of my clients pop up. At least we should. So basically I'm saying that, marketing manager within a 10-mile radius of me. Alex comes up. She's not a marketing manager. But here I have a list of 1,600 potential prospects that I could call. And not all of them are going to be ideal. I'm not going to do business with Time Warner. But Toyota Motor Sales, down the road, this marketing manager is responsible for lead generation. So I can simply just call all of these people if I wanted to.
So a strategy for me, in addition to doing an advanced search on retired, is to maybe do an advanced search by level of company of financial planners, because I might be able to get financial planners to schedule me to do a continuing education class for their planners.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're going to find a lot of financial planners. So,
I know. There's everybody and his brother is a financial planner.
I know. But I think that would be a good target market and a good, referral partner for you. So 48, so not a lot, but I would certainly connect with these 48 some odd people. And you can see that I put financial planner in quotes. Mm-hmm. So I wanted that exact search. Now I'm going to see of these people, you could sort out by, like, say, if you have inroads into Northwestern Mutual or LPL. LPL is a good company. But here you can see only show me the people who I am 3 degrees or in my first connections. No, I'm sorry. Only show me people who I'm 2 degrees connected with. Let me turn this off. And now you have 14 people. Mm-hmm. Which would all be pretty good people to introduce yourself to and find out who they're currently referring reverse mortgage business to, and why aren't they referring business to you. And
okay.
And as you do connect with these people, it would be interesting to, a good way to get a referral is, so say if you are connected to this gentleman, Brandon, one of the things that I encourage people to do, especially if you're doing a networking meeting, is to print off some of the people that he is connected to that you would want an introduction to. Do you know what I mean?
I think so, yeah.
So say if you want a referral, you could say, or let's just pull me up here as an example. So say if you wanted a referral, you could look through all of my connections, the people who I'm connected to, and say, Greg, will you refer me to Bob? You know, because you know that Bob is retired, and he fits your target market profile. Because if you ask me for a referral, I'm going to be like, well, I don't really know of anybody right now. But if you ask me for a referral to Bob, somebody that I know, which is in my profile, you're going to get that name, phone number, and probably a personalized introduction. So it's a smart way to ask for a referral.
Okay.
So let's go back to our agenda here. So we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves, but we were talking about advanced search, which I am, as you can tell, very, very bullish on, and that's actually going out. And this is in your email, so you see that, here are some of the fields that you're going to want to fill out and be as granular as you can, especially starting off. So I'm going to flip over to our mind map to see if I missed anything here. So we had two resources here. So we talked about advanced search. You want to populate the title, the current title, choose location, select industry, select certain number of degrees, and then we talked about actually making the connection. And then I just want to touch a little bit on managing your connections, which you're already doing. You're one of the few people that I've ever worked with who does actually understand how tags work. But just out of the box, you can see that it automatically tags some of your people, and it looks like you've done a pretty good job of using this. Now, I usually create...
Well, I didn't put companies or locations things down there, just those tags that, yeah. So LinkedIn does that automatically?
Yeah, so say if you want to see, where your connections are, you can see that, you have 4 in the Boston area, whereas if you have, say, an article which is specific to reverse mortgages in Boston, one of the powerful things about this particular tagging is you're allowed to send up to 50 people an email from this particular screen. Have you ever done email within the platform?
Emailing your contacts. Somebody had told me that you're able to, if you're connected to these people, you're able to actually download these connections in an Excel file.
Yes.
Okay.
Very, very, very powerful. So right now you have 353 people. And from these 353 people, Colette, hold on one quick second for me. Hold on a second for me.
Yep.
What? Colette, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So yes, LinkedIn is one of the only platforms that they give you the ability to download all your contacts' information. So in other words, you can't do that on Facebook, you can't do that on Twitter, and but on LinkedIn, just by simply clicking this button, which is export your contacts, you can export them to a CSV, which is just Excel.
Yeah.
And then you can add them to your email marketing list.
So I could download them according to tags. Can I qualify them by tags and location?
Certainly.
In other words, if I wanted to find all financial planners in the San Francisco area, because I thought I had some in locations. I had San Francisco, and then I'm looking at, well, I don't have financial planners here, but I suppose I could do that too. But if I put in like colleagues, and could I also go colleagues and San Francisco and then qualify them that way? Or, well, I guess I could do that in Excel, huh?
Yes. So let's just open up the Excel file here. And then I can never get these things right.
Yeah, me either. I hate them.
There's got to be a better way. So then you open up the file, and do they give you the location? That is a good, I've never had that question before.
Well, because here was my thought. Here was my thought, was that if I could do that, then I might want to focus my efforts on financial planners by county, and then send all of them an email saying, hey, on such and such a date, I'm doing continuing education for financial planners at such and such a location. Just email me and get on my calendar, and I'll see you then.
Exactly.
Cool.
So it'd take a little bit of editing, or tagging to accomplish that, but it certainly can be accomplished. But I think that this is a very, very important piece, because it helps you manage these people, and it also gives you a quick way to communicate with them. Like I showed you how you could do the export, drop all those people into an email marketing piece, and email, do group marketing. But just within this platform, you're allowed to email up to 50 people at one time. So there's two things that I really want to show you. And so I usually create a tag called like hot prospects, or somebody who I have filtered out who is a good qualified, basically fits the target market profile. So say if I did have a tab here, like for instance, you have people from Edge Up. You might not even know these people, or they might not be that relevant. But say your friend Bob Powell mentioned you in the Wall Street Journal. Just by clicking, in the tab and then clicking this button here, you can send up to 50 people a message.
Oh.
So just right here, you can say, hey, I hope all is well. It's been a while since we talked last. I thought you might be interested in this. I was just published in the Wall Street Journal, and then include a link along with your signature. Now, you can allow the recipients to see each other's names and email addresses, or you can disallow that. So that's if you want to be a little bit creepy and saying, hey, I put you in this bucket with all these other people. So you can play around with that.
Now, when you say signature, what do you mean when you're talking? I don't even know what my signature is.
Your signature is your name, your title, your company name, your phone number, your email address.
So where do I put that in?
Let me show you what your signature is now.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you have a signature.
Right. So how do I take care of that?
Well, within Outlook, you I forget what it's called, but you tell them that you want it's called email signature within Outlook, and then so therefore whenever
okay, all right.
Whenever you send an email, like here's my email signature, this goes on every single email that I send, which has
I noticed.
Title, and then I change this up every month, whereas I promote something new. So one month I'll do my my LinkedIn profile or my Twitter profile, but I usually include one call to action. So, but if you were to send
here,
this,
your action is that demo constant contact?
yes.
Okay.
But you could put your LinkedIn signature. But so say if you wanted to send these 50 people a quick message, you could give it a good subject line, give it a good message here, and include your signature, and include maybe a link to something that would add value. Do you do any type of email marketing now?
I use constant contact. I haven't used it a lot. I've just used it a little bit. Again, I got bogged down in trying to figure out LinkedIn, and this Facebook app is driving me nuts. Alex was very helpful, by the way. There was one question in particular that she was not able to answer for me that I was really hoping she would be able to. But she did go over quite a lot with me. It was very helpful.
Mm-hmm. What was the question?
Well, I have a business page on Facebook, and I wanted to collect email addresses. So I wanted to create a report which I would house on my website. And I would have a picture of myself and a little blurb saying to the effect, this woman helped a woman with no money hire a housekeeper, hire a cook, a gardener, and a healthcare specialist. And if you want to know how she did it, put your email address in down below, and the email address would bring you to, first of all, it puts you on my constant contact email list, and secondly, it would unlock this report.
All right, oh, that's real easy.
Oh, great.
So you're trying to set that up?
Yeah.
And do you want it to be set up on Facebook or on your website?
Well, both. Is it possible to do both?
Yeah, or you could have, send people from Facebook to your website. So basically, it's like an opt-in report. It's kind of like this. So say if you want to download the latest tips, get them here. You got to type in the name and the email address, and then you get to download the free report. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah. So now, is this Constant Contact that I'm looking at?
No, but this integrates into Constant Contact.
Okay. So
here would be the report. Basically, I had to give my email address to get to this report. Right.
So am I looking at somebody's website there,
yeah,
or
I was just
is
showing
that
you
a Facebook page?
No, that's somebody's website. I was just showing you a quick example of how that works.
Okay. But yeah, that's essentially how that works.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I would like to accomplish.
And Alex couldn't help you with that?
No.
So you want this, where would you want this on your website?
Well, I'm not sure where to put it, especially since I'm going to have to change my website over to, a different, a non-Flash type website.
Yes, this looks like WordPress, which is trying to download now.
It is WordPress.
So, but your whole site's not built in WordPress, correct?
Correct. GoDaddy is.
Yeah, so you could essentially put it here, which is a good real estate, good spot on your site, or you could put it, anywhere here. You could say something like, plug in your email address here and just create a button and learn how, basically what it is that you said, and then they click on a button, and then and then that button just brings them to a form that they plug in their email address, their name and phone number, just like I showed you, and then they get the report, or they get the information. You send them to a page.
But does that have to be part of the design of the website? In other words, you're saying, putting it up here would be a good place to put it, but I couldn't figure out how to access that up here.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd access that, but you could log into WordPress and just create a page. So it could be, just a simple page here. You know how to create a page within WordPress?
Not sure.
So you create a page, which this is a page within WordPress, and it tells the story. And then to get people to that particular page, you would just create a little button which says, find out this information, and then that button sends them to, it has them fill in their email address.
Okay.
Very easy to set up.
All right.
And if you're getting a good amount of traffic to your site and your blog, then, you're going to collect email addresses, and it's going to work great.
Okay.
I think it's a good opt-in. Another way to basically, another way to do it, which would be a lot easier, is just, basically say what it is that you're trying to do, and then right where and then just create a button and then send people to your constant contact page. And then after they opt in to your constant contact page, they will get an autoresponder to their email address that has the information you want to share with them. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really probably what would work best.
Yeah, so an example of that would be to let's see, send them to this particular, not this page, but you know what I mean, the constant contact page.
Yeah.
Constant contact opt-in. All right, so we talked about these tags and tagging people appropriately, and then emailing them through LinkedIn. One of the reasons why I like emailing them through LinkedIn is because of the deliverability. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes.
Because everybody has their own personal email address in here, so it's really, really powerful. So using that as a feature, especially as you're growing your target market profile. So that's really, really cool and really, really powerful. So let's go back to our agenda here. And now, industry expertise and communication. I think you're already doing a great job on this, but if you're building out your network, you always want to be sharing good, relevant, curated content to your friends and followers and connections. Like, how often do you post?
I haven't posted in a while on LinkedIn. I did kind of look at that, answer questions things, but the questions that the system is asking are stuff about forward mortgages, and I have no clue about the forward industry.
Yeah. Does anybody ever ask about reverse mortgages?
Ask me personally?
No, on LinkedIn Answers.
Oh, I don't know.
So related to establishing yourself as an authority, my recommendation is to post something that you find once a day or a minimum of once a week. And I also recommend getting some what I call evergreen posts. So an evergreen post is something that can be posted over and over again over time.
Okay.
And you can use tools to do this automatically, whereas if you come up with 30 messages for next month, or maybe even 20, you can use a tool called Hootsuite, which gives you the ability to post to your LinkedIn profile and schedule posts. And it's free.
I have Hootsuite, and I'm still not using it yet.
Cool. So I do recommend setting that up because Hootsuite allows you to publish to all of your networks from one place, which you're familiar with.
Okay, so you got there by going to Answers?
No, this I went to just your home screen, share an update.
Home.
And
all right.
The rule is, I call it the triple E. Always be entertaining, educating, or engaging whenever you post anything. Not the fact that you had pizza for lunch, obviously.
Right.
So sharing great content, and your posts tend to get clicked on and get viewed. That's a great way to create yourself as the authority. Now, you asked about answers, correct?
Yeah.
So here's one of the things that I recommend is, really if you want to be an authority and if you want to do a good job, generating leads, especially if anybody's asking a question, if it is something that you know a lot about, like reverse mortgages. This is pretty cool, and I'm sure you've done this search before. So all I did was just
I've never seen this before.
type in reverse mortgages, under the term answers.
Okay.
And here you can see that there are 172 related topics or conversations related to reverse mortgages. So
Okay.
one of the things here, are they beneficial or detrimental to seniors? Why do you feel this way? Now, this particular question, by the way, you can pose your own question, kind of load up the question because you're the subject matter expert. So I recommend posting a question and then occasionally answering a question. And the answers to the questions are oftentimes curated by whoever answers the question. So, for instance, you could chime in and answer this one here. And you can also include links and any type of supporting documents associated with it. So, and a lot of times when people are looking for an expert, like the gentleman from the Wall Street Journal, a lot of times he'll go in here and see who answered the question or who has the best answer related to that. So see, this one has a best answer. And then this is, people who have a lot of the best answers within answers on LinkedIn, they get little credits associated with their name. So it's really, really powerful.
Oh.
So, and then anytime you answer a question, that gets sent to your community, and people can see it and track it and monitor it. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of RSS, but you can set up an RSS feed, so then therefore you are notified anytime anybody mentions the word reverse mortgages on answers. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So how would I set that up?
The RSS feed?
Yeah.
So you would set it up right here. So you go, put it in quotes, type in reverse. Reverse mortgages, questions and answers, questions only. Do we want questions and answers? Yes. So use categories all. Show only unanswered questions. So then you click on search. I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to find it because usually there's a button here which says subscribe to these. But I'll get back in touch with you around how you can set up the RSS feed, because I know I have some. I don't answer any questions, but I should. I always tell myself I'm going to. I'm actually just looking for the button. But I think that is something that you should track and measure, and then chime in when there is either a negative or a positive question related to that.
Yeah.
Have you started a group on LinkedIn?
I have not.
So that's one of the things that I do encourage you to do, because it only takes a couple minutes. And then when you own the group, you have the ability to have complete control over that group. So you can control the messaging, you can communicate, you can email that group. And for some reason, people just join groups on LinkedIn. It's a very popular activity. Like, for instance, I know you're in a lot of groups.
Yeah.
So not only are you going to join the group, but you should own the group. So for instance, about 6 or 7 years ago, I created a group called, it's the same group that you found me in, which is South Bay Business Networking Executive, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And there's like 700 people in that group. I've never promoted it once, but yet I can export all of those people. I can communicate with all of those people. I can control the conversation. So it's pretty powerful. So I do recommend starting a group.
So is that also how you wound up with so many connections? Is people just joining your group?
That's one way.
Wow.
And I can export all of the people that are in that particular group and get their email address.
That's really cool, because with all of the groups that I belong to, I had never received an email from any of those people. It's like, wow, now that I know about it, what a wasted effort.
You've never received an email?
Never.
So
I've gotten emails from, well, not emails, but I've gotten, you know, LinkedIn correspondence from South Bay, LA networking executives, but not from any of the other groups that I belong to. Nobody has ever sent me an email.
that's strange.
It is strange.
Yeah, because you figured they created the group to, you know, for some type of promotional basis. But this particular group...
Well, yeah, I just can't figure out why. It's like, you know, maybe they just liked hearing themselves talk, which was exactly pretty much what got me bored with it, was that, you know, I'm talking to myself, or I'm talking to other people who do exactly what I do. I don't want to educate these people. It's to my advantage for them to not know what I know. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So I just decided, okay, I'm going to shut up now.
But I do recommend having you start a group. So you can imagine that me being the owner of this particular group, if I'm going to do a speaking engagement here in the South Bay, Los Angeles area, here's 749 people that I can, you know, send an email to and promote on that particular group. And I've never done anything with this. I better start doing something. And I know, you know, 12% are you know, entrepreneurial people, and 83% in this particular area. So definitely start a group. We talked about answering questions, status update, you know, curate the best relevant content that you can find on the internet. And then the last one is my favorite, is reward your new connections. So being the authority, anytime you know, if you're like me, anytime you come in here, you have you know, invitations to accept or decline. And then so anytime you accept an invitation, it's a best practice to send that person an email. Do you do that?
I have not.
So say if you did have the invitation.
I've only recently sent invitations out.
Yes. So I'm talking about people who have.
People who have sent me invitations?
Yes. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So let's just say, let me just go to your inbox here. So say here's a message right here. And let's see, just say, Lynn, you know, here you can send a message. So when you do when you do come here and you know you're gonna see invitations from people here, and especially as you get more popular on LinkedIn, you know, so anytime I go to my LinkedIn page, I'm going to have 5 or 10 invitations that I need to do something with. So a best practice is to, after you accept the invitation, there's a little button that says send message. And if you want, I can show you an example of this. But that's a wonderful opportunity to thank them for reaching out. Think of it like this. You're at a, just call it a chamber event or a BNI event, and the way an invitation works, that's somebody who has searched you out on LinkedIn, then they've invited you to connect. So it's basically like you're at a networking party and somebody reaches out to shake your hand and exchange business cards, and you know, walk away. So that's why, you know, sending a canned email address, and it can be the same, I mean, a canned email, it can be the same one you send over and over again. I do this religiously. Basically what I have here is I just have a canned email, which anytime I get an invitation, I just copy this, and then I go right back to LinkedIn and then click on send message, and then I send them this email. And I've tested this email time and time again. And this is the longer script works better than the shorter script. So basically it just says, it's nice to see you on LinkedIn. I look forward to our interactions on LinkedIn. Please keep us in mind for social media training. I include a link to my blog. I also talk a little bit about the power of LinkedIn networking. So it's kind of a little bit on the salesy side. So it's a little bit of a pitch.
Uh-huh.
But why not? Somebody reached out to me, and so I send them this email. So this goes out, at least 5, 10, 15 times a week. And I actually have some affiliate codes in here which I sell LinkedIn products, and it generates sales for me doing absolutely nothing besides accepting invitations. So it's a best practice to send them a personalized message.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it for today. So reward your new connections and try to make your message that you send to them impactful. Mm-hmm. And reward it. Make it about them as best you can.
Okay.
So that's kind of the communication plan. And then we finish off with, got to have a plan, and that way you can work the plan. And it can be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, but have some goals tied to it. We'll say, okay, I'm going to add 10 new connections a month, whatever it might be, and then track and measure that is the key.
Okay.
So I'll ask you in our next call, what are some of your goals?
All right.
And then you could say, okay, I'm going to spend 1 hour per week to accomplish those goals. It's going to be Friday at 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11, or whatever it might be.
God, it'll take me forever to get there, 1 hour a week.
But you have to do it because we're spending the time, you're spending the money, you're putting in the effort. That, or you can have somebody, you can outsource it to somebody. Have Alex do it.
Have who do it?
Alex.
Oh, Alex do it.
Yeah. Or we charge $3 per qualified target market connections is one of the models.
Well, I'd kind of like to get a handle on it myself. I owned my own business for a really long time, and I knew how to do every single thing that was related to my business. I didn't always do it, but I needed to know myself because some of this is manageable, for me, and I think I'd like to start there first. When I become incredibly busy and my speaking seminars are just so powerful that I have so much time locked into speaking, then I may be in a position to hire somebody to do this stuff. But for right now, it's me.
Yes, I think that's a good practice, to do everything at least once or twice within your business, so then you have an appreciation of what it takes to get it done and what it takes to do it well.
Yeah.
I also subscribe to that.
And how long have you been doing this?
Doing my WSI business?
Yeah.
5 years.
Oh, okay. So I've been doing reverses for 7 years. Only since the last 2 years have I been really seriously pursuing. And this was supposed to be my retirement plan because I sold my other business. And now the reverse mortgage thing is just starting to become a regular source of income for me, and I'm thinking, this is stupid. I'm spending all this time trying to figure out how to do all these different things. I might as well shoot for a full-time salary, even if I only have to work part-time.
Yeah, certainly. Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, next time we talk, I will have a plan with goals. I'll probably do that by next week.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned that you're doing some traveling. When's the next time that we should talk? How's next week look?
Next week actually looks good. I was going to be in Las Vegas, and that trip just kind of dropped out. Thank goodness. It was something I was not looking forward to, and so I don't have to go. Yay. So I'm planning on doing a lot of this. Also, it's kind of working for me because the closer I get to the end of the year, the less I'm going to have to do. People don't want to mess around with this financial stuff towards the end of the year. They generally wait until after the holidays are over.
Certainly, so it's a good time to do that prospecting and set up the first of the year positioning.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to doing a lot of this tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Cool.
I have to do this, and I have to square away my website so that I can get on with this. Because ultimately, my plan is not to send people to a website that looks like it has broken links, or that it's disorganized, or that Google can't yet see it, and I'm going to be doing all this work on something that Google can't see. So I want to do that. I want to get this Facebook application with an email gate set up, and then really pump it up with LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, let me know if you need help with that website stuff. And it sounds like you already have WordPress installed, so you just need to remove the front end part of your website and then just continue efforts on WordPress. Yeah,
and I have never done this before with the website. I hired somebody. I'm really kind of ticked off. I hired somebody to give me that website. They never explained to me why you would not want to use a Flash website.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know, for $1,200, that should have been the first thing you told me.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I'm back to doing my own research on this. I don't know, I don't know if I can handle it, but I'm certainly going to give it a good try.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
But just in case, what do you charge to do something like that?
What is it that you were looking to have done?
I would like to put in place something that's very clean and simple and is user-friendly, where I can have stuff that anybody can see and stuff that is stuff that you would have to give me your email address to be able to get special reports.
Mm-hmm.
And someplace where here's a question maybe you can answer for me. I have a video that I posted on my Facebook page that when you click on it, you get a pop-up saying that this is, you know, it's a security pop-up. And I found that somebody told me that Google does not, Facebook does not like video that is stored on a non-secure site. In other words, they want you to have a SHTTP page that it's hosted on, not an HTTP page. So every time I post it, or are you looking for my video?
Yeah, can you give me an example of video?
Gosh, how would I get to? Right now we're looking at your page.
No, I'm on your page.
You are?
Yes.
Well, it says Greg Towsley up here. But what I wanted to do was get to my page because I don't know how to access it any other way.
So So basically, I'm on your page right now. Or what is it?
Oh, how you would get there.
Oh, you're talking about your business page.
Well, let's see. Maybe we can. Maybe we can just go down.
What's the title of it?
California Reverse Mortgage. And there I am.
Oh, sorry. I just clicked too quickly.
You spelled California with an O.
Can't type today. Do you see it?
Well, down below, see where it says pages? I'm the first one there.
Yeah, right here. So here's your page.
Right. Now if you
I'll like it. So I have
True.
22 likes.
Thank you. Now there's the video.
Yeah, and this is just YouTube.
Right.
And now you have a pop-up?
Actually, it's not here. I'll show you. I hope I can show you what I was talking about. If you go up the page to...
But basically there's two ways. You can upload the video to Facebook, or you can upload it to YouTube and then add it to Facebook.
Yeah, I think that it's on one of these two now, and I can't remember.
But anyway, video's great, and it's really easy. You just put it onto your YouTube channel, and then you can add it to your blog, or you can add it to Facebook. You can put it anywhere, essentially anywhere you want.
Okay.
How did you get this one to be so big?
Beats me. I think it was because it was big on YouTube. When the company who did this video sent it to me, they gave me a couple of options, and I didn't realize that all of the options were named exactly the same thing. So I thought I was saving that video in different sizes, one for like a telephone app and one for decent size on YouTube, and it was all the same size.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kept rewriting, it just kept saving on top of itself.
I see. But yeah, why don't you give some thought to what you wanted to do on the website? Mm-hmm. And then, we could talk about it, but, the way that we would probably approach it is just get rid of basically this would be your homepage, so turn it into, a blog and give this a new skin, a new design, possibly a white background, make it a little bit easier to read, and then, work a little bit on
a little boring, huh?
the design. Or it's just that images are tough with this particular color background. So no, you can't really do white images. Do you know what I mean?
So are you talking about hosting this on WordPress?
Yes, your entire site would be done on WordPress.
Okay,
on
all
the
right.
same
that
instance.
Was the options that I had thought about too, was because this is hosted. It's actually hosted on my website. Is actually hosted on GoDaddy.
Sure.
And I thought, well, Hootsuite won't let me post to my website or to my blog because it's hosted on GoDaddy. It has to be hosted on WordPress.com in order to be able to post to it from Hootsuite, which I would really like to do.
Well, not necessarily. You can also get an email address to post to your WordPress site. So we could certainly help you out with that. But here you just click on WordPress and then type in your username and password, and then click on submit, and then it will give you the ability to post to it. Yeah,
but see, WordPress says that unless you're hosted on WordPress.com, in other words, my Flash website would actually have to be posted on WordPress.com, and right now it's not. It's hosted on GoDaddy.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I was very bummed out when I found that out.
Interesting. I'll look into that because I know that I do post to WordPress sites, and I just typed in the username and password and it worked.
Is your website hosted on WordPress.com?
No, it's not.
You can't even do it if you're hosted on WordPress.org.
Really?
Yep.
But within WordPress, you can get an email address, so you can post via email. So it's just kind of like a little workaround.
Oh. Well, still, the website can't be viewed by, I mean, it can't be seen by Google, so I need to change it anyway.
True. But give that some thought, and then let us know what you were interested in doing, and we'll put together a quote for you if you want.
All right. All right. I'll give that some thought.
Do you want to do the same time next week, 3 o'clock on Thursday?
Let me, no. As a matter of fact, I just made an appointment. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Yeah, let's do it next week the same time.
All right, so 3 o'clock. I'll send over an agenda and the course materials and a meeting request, and we'll just do the same time next Thursday. That'll be good.
Hey, that sounds good. I'm going to have to figure out